Hello and welcome to the Vaporwave special, the Vaporwave aesthetic special of Shuffle.
Aesthetic.
You're going to hear the words Vaporwave and aesthetic a lot. Please remember to listen to the playlist that we will be discussing in this episode. Links to a Spotify and YouTube playlist can be found in this episode's description. So, this is the very first in a new series of Shuffle episodes that will be focusing on genres and movements in music. I'm personally going to try to find weird, fringe, obscure genres to talk about that I find interesting, and I hope you will too. But please feel welcome to recommend and suggest genres you'd like us to talk about, and they don't have to be weird, niche, micro genres. In fact, we already have a suggestion to do a post-rock episode.
Nice.
And an underground indie hip-hop episode. So feel free to send in submissions.
Can we just do a Paul McCartney? Because it's kind of a genre unto itself.
Well, you're going to have to go on one of Shuffle's social networks and send it to me. And maybe I will.
Damn it. All right, I'll have to unblock
Okay,
Shuffle.
so what? We could do a Beatles song,
Yep.
a Wings song,
Paul McCartney solo.
Paul McCartney solo.
Paul McCartney with Michael Jackson.
The one song they did.
That's a classic.
Wasn't he in another group at one point in time? Like
Cream.
a super group?
Cream.
He was in Cream?
Yeah, Led Zeppelin for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you fucking with me?
No, dude, I swear to God.
When was Paul McCartney doing stuff with Led Zeppelin?
Look it up.
You're fucking with me. You're lying. You're a goddamn
Dude,
liar.
I'm pretty sure in my Paul McCartney genre, there's a couple songs of Led Zeppelin that he's in. So,
All right, I'm gonna fact check. You son of a bitch. So I know I've kind of ruined this question because I've spoken to you about this a little bit outside of recording. But so if you could, simply based off of the 5 songs you listened to, what do you think Vaporwave is based off of that and that alone?
I think I almost like wrote this down. Vaporwave is like based only on the 5 songs. I would describe Vaporwave as very gently remixing songs to give it a kind of gentle, slightly experimental, but not really that experimental kind of ambient feel. But it's a gentle remix. That was kind of what I felt. That's what I feel like Vaporwave is. It's gently remixing.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah?
That's a great description of it. Like, there's a lot of, like, contextual and political aspects to it.
Yeah, which I am missing out on.
I think you bring up a good point that without knowing about it, the music does not convey those ideas whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on any revolutionary
there's
undertones.
a whole world of like background knowledge and visual cues that go hand in hand with the music, but you simply do not get it through listening to the music alone.
Yeah, I couldn't pick up on any commentary.
See, it's interesting. I knew about Vaporwave before I listened to any of the music, so
could you get a little bit of?
I mean, yeah, I guess if you think about it and if you're looking at the artwork that goes along with it, but I almost wish I could have been in your shoes listening to it from
pure. I'm so pure.
Yeah.
But no, gentle Vaporwave, gentle remix. Like
soft waves of vapor.
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna do too much.
Over you.
Don't worry, song. We're not gonna manhandle you. We're not gonna do too much. We're just gonna little thing here and a little thing. We're gonna slow you down.
Slow it way down.
Slow it down and just let it run. Vapor.
So, what is Vaporwave? Vaporwave is a musical microgenre.
I need to take notes.
Everyone get your pen and paper out. There will be a quiz. So Vaporwave is a musical microgenre that emerged in the early 2010s among internet communities that is characterized by a nostalgic fascination with retro culture aesthetics, such as 1980s, the early 1990s, maybe even the mid-2000s. There's also fascination with video games, technology, advertising, styles of commercial and popular music, such as like smooth jazz, funk, elevator music. And music sampling is prevalent within the genre, with samples often pitched, layered, or altered in like kind of a classic chop and screwed style. And central to the style is often a critical or satirical preoccupation with consumer capitalism, pop culture, and new age tropes.
Did not pick up on that
Probably
one.
didn't pick up on a lot of that stuff.
I'm too indoctrinated into mass culture.
So it has been described as a degrading of commercial music in an attempt to reveal the false promises of capitalism.
Whoa.
Music writer Adam Harper of Dummy Magazine describes Vaporwave as ironic or satirical or truly accelerationist, noting that the name Vaporwave itself is both a nod to vaporware and the idea of libidinal energy being subjected to the relentless sublimation under capitalism.
Wow.
So let's talk about the name Vaporwave. Similar to how Adam Harper referenced, it kind of comes from two places. First of all is a thing called vaporware. Are you familiar with the term vaporware?
Not off the top of my head, but it sounds vaguely familiar. Is this like a Tupperware product or what?
Kind of. It's a... Just spit on
You
the
just
microphone.
vaped.
I just
Did you
vaped on the... I just vaped all over the microphone.
Dude, did the libidinal energies that capitalism sublimates just come out of your mouth?
Yeah, I just subjected it to the libidinal energies.
I think I just ejaculated my libidinal energies, so nice. I vaped my pants, bro.
I vaped, and I vaped in my pants.
I hope
Okay.
people that are into Vaporwave listen to this and let us know what they think.
Yeah.
Post this on like Vaporwave.
Yeah, I'll go to
pages.
the Vaporwave subreddit. That's
Nice.
one of the largest communities of
Shit,
Vaporwave
dude.
right now.
We got a new demographic,
Yeah.
new key demo.
Gonna
Okay.
get those listens up. So vaporware, it's the term for a product that is announced to the general public but is never actually manufactured or officially canceled. So
Intentionally or just it happens just
it's very
events?
gray. It's
Oh,
very gray.
okay,
It
wow.
started out as things that were unintentional. I'm
Okay.
sure like they announced this. I think it started. It was coined by someone who worked for Microsoft. I think it a company, a technology company announces this huge future product
Yeah.
that's 5 years off, and maybe it loses funding or the company goes under.
Okay.
But then people start to see like how that just announcing things like generates buzz and PR. So then companies started to like advertise for these products that it'll come out in the next 10 years, and then it just never comes out.
Like Chinese democracy, man.
Yeah,
Except it finally.
it did finally come out.
Fuck, that was the biggest mistake they made.
Yeah, they did.
Some
Other
great
than maybe this tour they're about to go on.
Yeah.
And the other part of where the name came from is actually from Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto.
No kidding.
That's where this whole idea and obsession with capitalism and critiquing it came from.
Yeah, right.
A lot of certain vaporwave artists have actually like narrowed it down to a certain excerpt from the manifesto.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty, and aviation distinguish the... Fuck, I have a typo. Bourgeoisie? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
From all the earlier ones. All fixed, fast, frozen relations with their train of ancient and vulnerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. All new formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profane. And man is at last compelled to face with the sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind.
Wow.
So the line,
Okay.
all that is solid melts into air, referring to the constant change society is subjected to under the bourgeoisie of capitalism, is kind of where the name Vaporwave came from.
Okay.
In context, the quote becomes part of an almost accelerationist credo touching on the inevitability of obsolescence and echoes the Vaporwave artist's critique.
Wow. My mind is blown.
It's
I've read
a bit of a stretch, maybe.
I gotta say, I've read Marx, and I can't say I understood it until now. These guys cracked the code.
Vaporwave got the 14-year-olds on Tumblr cracked the code.
They fucking figured that out, and they realized his theory in this music.
So there's a pretty interesting documentary. It's about 20 minutes long called Vaporwave: A Brief History, that a Vaporwave artist known as Wolfenstein OSX made.
Yeah.
I plan on posting it with this episode, and he talks about how the name Vaporwave comes from a Marxist. He didn't say Carl said it, but just a Marxist philosopher or someone had some like terminology that was called waves of vapor, and I Googled the shit out of it and I couldn't find anything, so I think he might just be making some shit up.
Yeah, I haven't.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the term waves of vapor in reference to socialism or communism or anything like that.
No, it's not ringing a bell. It's not ringing a bell.
It's probably bullshit.
Yeah. Or it's just a real like throwaway line by some obscure. There's a million Marxist theorists.
That's true.
But it's not a well-known one as far as I know.
All right.
Waves of vapor. But hey, dude, you know what? These Marxist guys, they produce the books and then like vapor into the air.
Disappear.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe he's performing Vaporwave by referencing
something that never existed.
Yeah.
It's vaporware. He's referencing Marxist philosophies that never existed, but they were supposed to.
Dude, that's the essence of consumerism, bro.
Damn it, Wolfenstein OSX. Clever bastard. So, vapor. Let's talk about this word aesthetic. Aesthetic. Okay, so I also plan on posting a video that I know you've seen. There's a YouTuber named Frank Joff who
highly recommend this guy's.
I'm going to you need to watch this video. He basically takes all of these obscure micro genres that are being generated online and teaches you how to create them.
Yeah.
He basically boils it down to their basic essences, and they're very humorous.
Yeah.
So there's actually a 2-part video he made all about vaporwave aesthetics, and if you're interested, he sells T-shirts that in 3 words on a black T-shirt says ass, dead, dicks.
You know, this guy might be the most at vaporwave because he's revealing the modes of production of vaporwave as a genre and how vapid they are. Dude,
That's
that
true.
guy's fucking vaporwave.
It's like that dude in the 90s who like that renegade magician who like showed how they did all the tricks.
Yep.
You remember that guy
Yeah,
who wore
yeah.
a mask and everything?
Dude,
That's what Frank
him.
Joff is.
He's vaporwave, bro.
So, if you know anything about vaporwave, you've probably seen the word aesthetic probably written with a space between every letter of the word, like in italicized.
Yep.
Aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, if you know the word aesthetic, it's a philosophy. Aesthetics is the philosophy of art and the study of beauty and taste.
Yep.
It is about interpreting works of art and art movements and theories. But these vaporwave artists and kids who like vaporwave art are like appropriating the word aesthetic to try to give it new meaning.
Because it's a noun, but they're making it
They're
an adjective.
using an adjective.
Yeah, it's a
and
little
another video I plan on
confusing.
posting. Actually, PBS has this YouTube series. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's this guy who does these like 15-minute videos on like weird internet movements, and he did a little documentary all about this reappropriation of the word aesthetic.
No kidding. Wow.
And so from watching this and kind of gathering everything else that I've been studying, I realize the vaporwave usage of the word aesthetic is similar to that of the word like lol, LOL.
Yeah.
It is a way to short, like basically break, rather than having to write like a big sentence about this made me laugh.
Yeah.
Just say lol.
Yeah.
So rather than kids saying like, this song or this art you made is something that resonates with me in a nostalgic yet sad way, they just say, oh, that's aesthetic.
I love it, man.
You know, it's
Yeah, hey, why not?
that's kind of what I gathered. They're basically just giving it a new meaning as like an internet abbreviation.
Every movement needs its own language, man.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah, or like how like someone like, if someone was to try to like humorously convey that they're tired, they might post a picture of someone who like fell asleep in their food and then just write the word same underneath. I'm sure you've seen something like that.
Yep.
It's the same thing there.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, I really like this picture, you just say aesthetic.
Yeah.
That has aesthetic, or that is aesthetic.
Yeah. Aesthetic.
That's what I gathered.
No, that's a good read. That makes a lot of sense based on when I saw it just on like YouTube comments. Just aesthetic.
Yeah.
It seemed like it had almost like a performative angle to it than like even referring. Like you just do it to like show you're part of the group.
And also, you know, it's been around long enough, because if anything exists on the internet for more than 5 seconds, I would say the majority of them are trolls making fun of, like, you know, they're just being dicks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, aesthetics. But yeah, you go on to a YouTube video of any of these songs, I'm sure you won't even make it 5 comments down without someone saying the word aesthetic, italicized with spaces and tildes before and after it. All right, so let's I want to kind of move to a history of Vaporwave as best as I could. And like I said, the guy Wolfenstein OSX, his documentary is going to like cover this way better than I did. This is kind of an abbreviated version of his brief history.
Nice.
So, Vaporwave began as a visual aesthetic. Actually, before the music appeared, in online communities such as, and yeah, every time I say the word aesthetic going forward, I want you to like do that, like in the background.
Aesthetic.
So it began as a visual aesthetic. In online communities such as Tumblr and Reddit that were obsessed with 80s and 90s pop culture, glitch art, early shitty 90s 3D graphics, Roman classical sculpture and busts, tropical landscapes, and Japanese culture. And a lot of this, I think, I don't know if it was happening at the same time, but I know we've talked about Witch House briefly before.
Yeah.
Witch House also kind of has an obsession with all these 90s pop culture references, shitty early 90s 3D graphics. There's some overlap. These weird fake, quote-unquote fake genres that appear online.
Yeah.
And when this imagery began to mix with the sound of 80s elevator muzak, and M-U-Z-A-K. Muzak. Vaporwave was born. And it's been speculated that since it began on the internet within small subcultures with really no distinct origin point, it's actually considered to be one of the very first genres of music to be instantly globalized upon its birth.
Wow.
Because no one can really say this is exactly where it started.
Right. Okay.
No. Like, no music scholar came forward saying this. This is like, this is Vaporwave people saying we're the first globalized.
Because, music scholars are the bourgeoisie. Yeah, now this is a global rising of the proletariat consciousness. I dig it, bro. I dig it. Just like Uncle Karl Marx, suggested would happen.
Good old Carly Marxy. So Vaporwave, it has a very interesting timeline. I'm going to kind of briefly go over this and we're going to delve deeper into it. So it begins with these pictures showing up on Tumblr of these pink backgrounds with Roman busts and Japanese characters, Fuji water. They're obsessed with Fuji water for some reason. And then the music kind of started clashing with it. A lot of people thinks it began with an album from Daniel Lopatin, who we might know as One O Tricks Point Never, someone that I've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast.
Yeah.
And so it started with an album from him, and then from another artist named James Ferraro, who put out an album that was actually a very serious critique on capitalist society, which is where I think this obsession with critiquing capitalism came from.
Wow.
The sound came from Daniel Lopatin, and the ideology came from James Ferraro.
Okay. But it's kind of fair to say, at least in terms of the history, it kind of started around visuals.
Correct.
And then music kind of got built around it and ideas.
That's what I've
That's
gathered.
interesting.
Yeah,
I can see
because
that.
it started just happening with like this weird Tumblr art that was posted.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then I think people who got into this art heard these two albums, and they started being like, "There's some similar themes going on here."
Yeah.
Some people also credit an artist known as Skeleton, who was also releasing music around the same time that these two other albums came out, and I've listened to it. It sounds very similar to it's a lot more raw and abstract, but it does have like vaporwave vibes to it. But the main two are Daniel and James. So then these ideas and sounds were then appropriated by young teenagers on Tumblr and Reddit and Pinterest, who then pumped out vaporwave from their pirated copies of FL Studios. They just started going on YouTube, grabbing old 80s and 70s funk tunes, slowing them down, glitching them out a bit, posting weird album art on it, and just throwing it out into the masses. Same thing happened with Witch House too.
Same.
Like one thing came out, and then all of a sudden, like all this just shitty wave of Witch House hit everybody, and then like as soon as it came, it washed away, and there was like a couple artists left that were actually making good music. But then vaporwave takes this weird turn because it starts out as pictures, then becomes music critiquing capitalism with pictures. Then artists start coming out, and rather than critiquing capitalism, make music that encourages capitalism. Music meant for business elevators in the vaporwave style. It was like the anti-vaporwave. It was like music for business elevators and supporting consumerism and capitalism and Starbucks.
Wait, where'd this counter movement come from?
It literally, like, the way that this works is like one artist just puts out an album and all of a sudden copycats follow. And I should say almost all of these vaporwave artists, another huge aspect of it is anonymity. They're all anonymous. No names, no faces, just monikers. So like that's why it's so hard to tell like this person started that. I can like point to examples of this music, but I can't tell you who started the counter vaporwave movement.
But people who use that genre name vaporwave, they were making music that was pro-capitalism, or did they strongly identify as vaporwave, or just kind of
because a lot of this just appears on like Bandcamp, so like you can really base it off like how they tag their music, and they weren't like saying like anti-vaporwave or meta vaporwave. It was just vaporwave.
I'm getting a bit of an Illuminati vibe from this whole thing, man. Illuminati, vaporwave. Aesthetic.
And so then shortly after that, Vapor Meme came along, which was like very self-referential, self-degrading vaporwave music making fun of vaporwave music. You know, if it's on the internet, that's bound to happen. It's basically meme-based vaporwave music. And then, you know, all these different subgenres started flowing in. Some trying to make sounds of virtual utopias that we never got to experience. Some trying to make the sound of virtual dystopias that we never got to experience. Some trying to like make tracks purely from VHS recordings some people trying to make music for like virtual malls that exists in the internet. It's called mallsoft. It's a whole subgenre. And then there was like certain people that were trying to use the vaporwave aesthetic in an apolitical way without critiquing capitalism, but just trying to use the sound and the sonic feel of vaporwave
to sublimate my libido.
Yes.
Right? To be clear, because it's all just precious bodily fluids at the core of this, right? And what direction they're flowing, right?
Yeah, and they're trying to make it flow back inside of you rather than outside.
Right. Classic Marx. I mean, that was his whole thing, is sex and
ejaculating into yourself.
It's all about the precious bodily fluids. That was what the Cold War was about. If
you look deep enough. So let's dive into some of these subgenres. So the first one, and I should preface this by saying there's a bunch of like infographics that 4chan and Reddit made that kind of breaks it all down. There are way more that I'm going to touch on, but I'm trying to just touch on like the major ones that I feel are important.
Right.
So the first one are your proto vaporwave musicians, the people who were doing vaporwave before it was a thing, such as Daniel Lopatin, One O Tricks Point Never, which is actually where our first song comes from.
Okay.
So this is by an artist called Chuck Person, which is a moniker of Daniel Lopatin.
Oh.
Chuck Person and his album Chuck Person's Echo Jams Volume 1, which came out in 2010. And our first song of the playlist, A1 by Chuck Person. Now, this technically wasn't ever labeled as A1. It's just one continuous mix of music. Fans have listened to it and kind of noticed like when you can kind of just tell like when one song ends and one begins.
Yeah. And
have sectioned it off and labeled it A1, A2, and so on. And then eventually an actual physical cassette release came out, which is where like the words A1 actually came from, because that's how cassettes used to be labeled.
I see.
So this album's music consists of what Lopatin terms echo jams, quote unquote. Echo jams, which are audio pieces which typically sample micro excerpts of 80s pop songs or other forms of popular music and slow them down in a manner reminiscent of chop and screwed styles. Music critic Simon Reynolds has characterized these works as relating to cultural memory and the buried utopianism within capitalist commodities, especially those related to consumer technology in the computing and audio-video entertainment area. When asked what he thinks about this album giving birth to vaporwave, Lopatin had this to say: "I don't know much about it. I've emailed a few times with Ramona, who is the third artist we will be talking about, so I'll get to that later.
All right.
And he called her very intelligent. He said, I'm glad people are enjoying the Echo Jam stuff. I always hoped it would be something people would just do. It's kind of folky by nature." So he made it with the intention of other people emulating and doing what he did.
Right.
But I think it's important to note that he kind of did this just as a fun joke. Like, this wasn't serious. He wasn't trying to make a statement. He released this for free anonymously. It's just kind of like this, look at this weird thing I did.
Yeah.
He's hinted in other interviews that we can expect more volumes of Echo Jams and future releases from Chuck Person in the future. As he said, there are multiple things already recorded in the cryo chamber just waiting to be thawed and released to the masses.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's see. Sputnik Music's Eli Shoup.
Sputnik, yeah.
It's a music review website. Had this to say about the album. The album is credited with devising the ill-fated vaporwave movement. And yet, Echo Jams is far from the genre's most pure example of what it represents. For starters, the record is largely devoid of any thematic direction, save for the twisted cover artwork that features the beloved Sega Genesis game Echo the Dolphin. Gone is the corporalist, anti-corporalist subject matter that permeates most of Vaporwave's releases, and what is left over remains a murky, deliriously twisted piece of chopped and screwed 80s and 90s, which, for the most part, is better without any thematic direction.
Better without it. It's an odd compliment.
Yeah. And if anyone's curious, if you've listened to it, this song, A1, is pretty much just a slowed down and severely glitched out version of Toto's song Africa. It's pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's just like a 10-second clip, just glitched over and over again. So, what did you think of this track?
Yeah, I would say, you know, I was ambivalent. Parts of it I kind of appreciated as like a kind of germ of an idea. It sounded, kind of like weirdly nostalgic, almost campy, but with a kind of critical distance. But at other times, it sounded like it just simply was camp, like Price is Right music, public access TV. So it was like kind of, there's something there. I could kind of imagine listening to it and being inspired to do something else. But in and of itself, it kind of, it's so-so.
It's kind of hard to listen to.
Yeah, I can't imagine ever listening to it again.
It begins very chill, kind of experimental, and then it slowly devolves into this extremely unsettling and eerie track, almost as like if it was severely damaged. It's very interesting, but it pushes my ability to enjoy it at some points with how chopped and screwed it actually gets. Yeah. Like, the first 45 seconds of the song, I really like. The first 45 seconds of the song is like, ooh, this is a song I want to listen to. But then, as it keeps, like, glitching and skipping over and over and over, it's like, okay, I can't focus. It's distracting on my ability to listen to this song.
And it didn't, at times it sounded like very random, there's people that can do like glitch random stuff, and you get a sense that they're doing it with an idea in mind. But sometimes it sounded a little bit chopped, just like I couldn't get a sense why he was doing it. And the most charitable read I can give it is like, you're just supposed to feel alienated from the music.
I think that's fair.
Maybe you are. I mean, because I experienced the same thing. It started out kind of like, there's something interesting going on, and then it sounded hard to listen to. A little hard to listen to.
I think in his defense, this song is a lot more enjoyable within the context of the whole album.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it really does, it's like a mixtape almost, where it just like flows from one song to the other.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if this was ever intended to be listened to like we did, like solo, isolated from the rest of it.
Yeah, because I wrote, it sounds like a transition track. Yeah. It sounds like something you'd throw in between, just kind of frame another song.
If anyone's interested, I will post a YouTube link to the entire album.
Yeah.
If this kind of caught your ear, because the whole album has these high highs and low lows, like these really interesting things, and then it devolves into like this unlistenable glitch almost.
I like that fuzzed out kind of vibe of a retro track. But sometimes I just didn't like it. But then, you know what? When I didn't like it, you know what I realized? I realized that was just the hegemony of capitalism being slowly crushed, right? By the specter of communism. And then I got it. You know what
It
I
all
mean?
made sense.
And then it clicked.
the light bulb went on.
Yep. And then I vaped my pants because
Yeah.
my libidinal energies were
And
not
then
sublimated anymore, bro.
Vaped in my pants.
I think I think I am starting to get it though, because you listen to the music, you're a little alienated, then the libidinal fluids are no longer sublimated by the false utopia of capitalism, right? And then they gotta go somewhere.
And then you vape your pants.
then you vape your pants, and that's what Marx was all about, if I remember right.
I'm pretty sure
That's
the whole Communist Manifesto is just vape your pants.
And then we vaped our pants.
And then we vaped our pants.
That's aesthetic.
All right. Do you have any other things to say?
No. Yeah, no.
So now we can move on to the other proto vaporwave artist, James Ferraro, and his album Far Side Virtual, which was released in 2011. The track I wanted to talk about was Solar Panel Smile.
Yeah.
So, experimental electronic musician James Ferraro's Far Side Virtual deliberately invokes the artificial style of corporate elevator music and obsolete computer sounds. He samples things such as the Skype login sound, the Windows shutting down sound, and the ambient music that plays on the menu of a Nintendo Wii. Ferraro said that he first conceived of this album for release as a series of ringtones, actually, and that listeners using the songs from the album as ringtones is the completion of the project.
Wow.
He would later go on to abandon this idea, fearing that people wouldn't want to purchase the music as a set of ringtones. But he did say, and I quote, "Hopefully these songs will be made available for ringtone, and the album will be condensed into ringtone format, so the album won't be the centerpiece. It will just dissipate into the infrastructure. The record is just a contained gallery space of these ringtone compositions."
I can sympathize because it's very hard to market anti-capitalist stuff. You know what I mean? That's a big
Yeah.
That's a big challenge. You know what I mean? You got this anti-capitalist creativity.
But you gotta sell it.
How are you gonna sell it? You know, it's a tough. Hey! We're just trying to vape. Get our vape on.
We need to get Marx in here and have him lay down some knowledge.
He'll tell him how to market this.
He'll tell him how to vape his pants. So the album engages with concepts of hyper reality,
The hyper
disposable consumer culture, 1990s retro futurism, advertising and branding, pop art, and music kish. Ferraro created Farside Virtual with the Apple audio software GarageBand, which brought out the, quote, cheap digital sound, end quote, that he desired, and called it a rubbery plastic symphony for global warming, dedicated to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. This is ringtone music meant to be experienced on the post-structuralist medium, the smartphone. So, yeah, and he has also described the album as a still life of the 21st century.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's aesthetic.
yeah, it is.
That's aesthetic.
He also has said this about the album. Farside Virtual mainly designates a space in society or a model of behaving. All of these operating in synchronicity, like ringtones, flat screens, theater, cuisine, fashion, sushi. I don't want to call it virtual reality, so I called it Farside Virtual. If you really want to understand Farside, first off, listen to Cloud Debussy. And secondly, go into a frozen yogurt shop. Afterwards, go into an Apple store and just fool around. Hang out in there. Afterwards, go to a Starbucks and get a gift card. They have a book there in the history of Starbucks. Buy that book and go home. If you do all these things, you will understand Farside Virtual, because people are kind of living it already.
Whoa, dude. That's the hyper real, bro.
Whoa, I think some of your brains are leaking out of your ear because your mind was just blown.
No, it's vape juice.
Oh, vape juice.
That's vape juice. Coming
Vape
out,
goo.
sorry. Got my vape goo. Damn.
So this song, Solar Panel Smile, The three things it primarily samples is the Nintendo Wii menu music, the Nintendo GameCube menu music, and the Windows XP shutdown music.
Yeah.
What did you think of this track?
So yeah, it's, it's a fine line between trying to critique something and then just, dare I say it, aestheticizing it. Aesthetics. Which I realize I'm using that incorrectly, saying aestheticizing, but you're making it an object of art instead of making it explicitly as an object of critique. Now I realize this is like a third wave Marxism, Frankfurt School, and I know the vapor folks, they don't like that.
It's third wave Marxism, first wave vaporwave.
Yeah, no. I think first wave vaporwave, they've read all this stuff and they just reject it. I'm pretty sure they've read it word for word and they reject it. I'm sure it's out there. They have good reasons. But yeah, because reading this, I heard the kind of large coffee please, and I heard the cell phone.
I'd like a large coffee, please.
Yeah, the cell phone. It was that MacBook or Microsoft Window. What'd you say?
Windows.
Yeah,
Windows XP.
Do. And I didn't get any overt sense that this was critiquing it. Instead, it felt like it was just kind of playfully nesting it in a kind of wave of sound. So again, I mean, I'm not saying he's praising capitalism, but is it Brian Eno who has songs for an airport or something like that?
Yeah, well, interesting you bring up Brian Eno. Yeah, Brian Eno made ambient music for the airports.
Yeah.
He also composed the login and shutdown music for Windows 98. He was commissioned by Microsoft to do that.
Yeah. Which is a great little 3-second ambient piece.
I'm being completely serious and earnest. The login music for Windows 98 is like fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like I'm being rocked in a little crib to bed. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's very peaceful. I mean, dude, this song, it was the word that just kept popping up is ambivalent. Like I kind of liked it and I kind of didn't. At times I felt like it was cool experimentation, but at other times it felt kind of random and amateur. At times it felt very profound, and other times it felt a little pretentious, and sometimes it felt very new, and other times it felt very cliche. That's what I wrote.
It sounds like you were like at war in your brain when you were listening to it.
I was like, I could hear this being something new, experimental, profound, but then I was kind of like, this is like kind of amateur. It's like almost getting at something, but I couldn't quite, I don't know. What'd you think? What did you think?
This song's very weird for me, simply due to the nostalgic association I have with the three sounds that are sampled in this.
Right.
I grew up listening to the Windows shutdown music, listening to the GameCube menu music, and listening to the Wii menu music. So first of all, it's like this, just like this weird vestibule of sounds from my childhood, all like meshing with each other.
Yeah.
And then about halfway through, it turns into this like shitty 90s keyboard jam.
Yep.
Like the most plasticky, fake 90s sampled.
Yeah, very cheesy sounding.
Which I know after hearing him talk about it was intentional.
So that's intentional. Okay.
But it begs the question, like, when you go to a museum and you view art.
Yep.
And if you can't take in the meaning of the art without reading the artist statement, did it succeed in,
Yeah, exactly.
Is the artist statement part of the project? Because if so, I think he successfully did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
But had I not read his intentions, I don't think I would have gathered it from simply listening to it.
Yeah, what was the greater work of invention? The piece or the little paragraph of explanation next to it?
So, I found it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I can't ever see myself like actively listening to this for pure enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like it's more of a statement or art piece than a song.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna throw this on a playlist.
Yeah.
So like It's interesting to listen to, but it doesn't have replayability.
See, I think the problem is, Jared, and don't take this the wrong way, but you're so used to like thinking that everything in your head needs to refer to something real, but he's showing you that you're in the hyper real, where simulation is simulacra, and he's inverting your expectations of capitalism and pushing the dialectic further so that you can vape your pants.
Now you see,
and you're not getting that, bro.
You see, you could have saved yourself from saying that whole long-winded sentence by just saying
a 666.
Aesthetic 666. Yeah. So interesting.
Get out of the hyper real, bro. You're in the Matrix, man.
I need to vape and free my mind.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it is kind of weird because I think we both, I don't know what this says about us. We both, I think, liked best the part that he wanted to critique. I like the beginning the best. I think you liked it the best.
The second half is...
And apparently that's what he was trying to critique. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess we're just stuck in the hyper real, bro. Capitalism has got our libidinal energies.
Speaking of hyper real, and speaking of all of this shit, going back a few episodes, talking about Picture Plane.
Yep.
And his, what was it? Fuck, I can't remember. His manifesto that I read off.
Yeah.
Everything about Vaporwave would fit.
I think so.
In that.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Fuck. It was like Cyber Warlock Manifesto.
Yeah,
or
it was something crazy like that. Yeah, but it seems similar, very similar in tone and style.
You're stuck in the hyper real.
Yeah, you're stuck in the hyper real.
We're on the fucking...
See, Jared, we just like that first part because it allowed us to temporarily re-experience the pleasure, the false utopia of capitalism through those consumerist commodified objects, not realizing that it was alienating ourselves from our own libidinal energy, so we couldn't vape our pants. Come on.
I also just like Nintendo.
I just vaped myself, man. You said Nintendo?
Yeah, I just vaped yourself too. Okay, so this proto vaporware then gave birth to echo jams, the first subgenre of vaporwave, which, similar to Chuck Person's Echo Jams, takes old pop songs, usually with Kish value, and reconstructs them using delay, glitching, reverb, and other techniques to create new music. Highly inspired by Chuck Person's Echo Jams Volume 1. The next subgenre was Utopian Virtual. Generally uses Muzak.
Muzak.
M-U-Z-A-K. Do you know what Muzak is?
No.
So... it was a brand of background music used in retail stores and elevators in the 90s. Okay. It was literally labeled Muzak. And vaporwave artists have been finding this. You know, think like Weather Channel music.
Yeah.
Actual elevator music. Like there's music that sounds so boring and soft that you say, oh, this is elevator music.
Yeah.
And then there was music that was actually corporately created with the intention of being used as elevator music.
Yeah.
That's what Muzak is. It's actually like an easy listening genre.
Yeah.
So they would find these elevator sounds, slow them down to kind of create this sense of a retro futuristic utopia.
Yeah.
This was inspired by James Ferraro's album. So then, upon Utopian Virtual being created, Faux Utopian was created. Fox Utopian, if you want to pronounce the X. Aesthetic. Oh, yeah. So this takes the Utopian Virtual style and turns it on its head, presenting a much darker and more surrealistic vision of a future that never was. This is perhaps considered to be the main style of vaporwave.
Okay.
Due to the success of the Faux Utopian album, Risa Franku 420 Gendai no Kanpu by Macintosh Plus, which is actually features a song which is our third song on the playlist.
Okay.
So
yeah.
This album came out in 2011 called Risa Franku 420 Gendai no Compyu, which translates to floral shop.
Wow.
Oh, wait. I just mixed that all up. Risa Franku 420 Gendai no Compyu is the name of the song we're talking. I get it's all these Japanese characters. I'm sorry.
No one's gonna know.
So
no one's gonna know
the album's name. It's Japanese characters, but it translates into floral shop.
Okay.
And now this is not SHOP. It's Chope. SHOPPE.
Shop.
By the artist Macintosh Plus.
That's the art. Okay.
The song we're talking about is Risa Franku 420 Gendai no Compyu, which translates into it's like Lisa Frank 420 modern computing. Like, you know, the children's artist Lisa Frank.
Wow, that's and then 420 and
So Macintosh Plus is moniker of another artist named Vectoid, which is a moniker of a woman named Ramona Xavier, who is an American musician based in Portland, Oregon. And she began recording and releasing music when she was 14 years old and has allegedly released over 40 full-length albums since 2005. Some of her other monikers she records under New Dreams Limited, Prism Corp Virtual Enterprises, Laserdisc Vision, Vector Fray, Vector Drum, Distant, etc., Fuji Grid, Sacred Tapestry, Tanning Salon, Virtual Information Desk. Yeah. She almost like every album she puts out is under a different name. Xavier's music has been described as an expose of late capitalism, and that it has a sensuous virtuality and new cyber pop unconsciousness.
Dude, I love these guys. They're all about getting vaped off, dude. I love it. I found my gang.
And it has also been said that Floral Shop, the album, is a shift towards beauty in an age that has nearly run the gamut of what artists and musicians can do. Tiny Mixtapes has ranked Floral Shop number 6 on its list of 50 favorite albums of 2012.
No kidding. Wow.
Fact magazine called Floral Shop the defining album of Bandcamp, the streaming service through which Vectroid releases her music.
Yeah.
And the album is actually Bandcamp's most user-recommended album underneath the experimental music category.
No kidding. Wow.
So, you know, this, if you were to pick a quintessential poster boy album for Vaporwave, it would be Floral Shop.
Yeah.
And if you were to pick a quintessential song to represent all of Vaporwave, it would be this song that we're talking about. This is the go-to cliched example of Vaporwave.
This is it. Yeah.
Actually, Vectoid stopped releasing music in early 2013. She's occasionally put out some like revisioned albums and collaborations with people. And I think you're gonna like this. She actually helped spawn a subculture known as health goth.
Wow.
Health goth is an aesthetic revolving around biotechnology, monochrome sportswear, fetish culture, extreme cleanliness, and rendered environments.
I get it, because like you get the biotechnology to get your fetish on, and then you gotta fucking clean that up.
You gotta clean that shit up.
So that's
in a rendered environment.
Yeah.
Health goth has roots in street goth, but focuses more on transhumanism.
Oh shit.
Net art.
Wow.
Technical sportswear, bionic body parts, combat gear, and an understanding of whole body and mental health. Now, if you're interested in what street goth is, I found an article comparing and contrasting street goth to health goth, as well as a third type of goth known as ninja goth.
Ninja gun.
But we don't have time to get into it. But I will
Jesus.
post this article, and you're welcome to read it yourself.
Dude, I got so many identities I need to look into that I could take on here.
So the creators of Health Goth have stated the following keywords they use when sourcing imagery for Health Goth. Mesh, moisture wicking fabrics,
Ooh.
BioWare, body enhancement tech, prosthetics,
Aesthetics.
prosthetics,
Nice.
shoe dipping.
The old shoe dip.
Do you know what a shoe dip is?
No idea. No idea.
Okay. The only reason I know this is because of Dan Harmon, the creator of the show Community and Rick and Morty. On his podcast, he's revealed that he has a huge foot fetish.
Oh.
And he talks about the different styles of like foot fetishes.
Yeah.
And dipping is when you dangle a shoe off your toe and like raise and lower it from the floor.
Ah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Okay, sorry.
And then they vape their pants. When
Yeah,
they
and
see
then
that, right?
you vape your pants.
That's
afterwards.
amazing. Wow.
Sorry. Other keywords. Various fashion and performance wear brands. Transparent clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Chains and light weaponry. Tactical gear. Elemental aesthetics.
Aesthetic.
Okay, I was waiting for you.
Sorry.
Corporeal modification and rendered environments. Also, just to be noted, it has nothing to do with being healthy.
Yeah, because fuck that.
The
Come on.
creators have distinctively said health goth is not a lifestyle. It is an exercise in aesthetics.
Aesthetic.
Any publication trying to tell you that health goth is about working out has simply taken the two words at face value and opted for a less challenging and extremely boring alternative.
Wow. You know, this is pretty interesting because it's almost like you're seeing, and I'm not even being ironic here, but, you know, there's a generation of Marxists who just critiqued culture. And then there was another wave of Marxists who were about not critiquing, but seeing how you could, through self-care, express yourself in its total liberated identity. And you're almost seeing a little microcosm of that. It's a little weird.
It's all making sense.
That's a little crazy,
it's all
man.
connecting.
Because nothing says resistance more than wearing transparent clothes. Come on. That's how you get rid of, material inequalities.
Yeah.
Is, vape your pants.
Just vape your pants in your transparent pants.
Yeah, and do the shoe dip.
Shoe deal.
The shoe dip.
So Floral Shop is Vectoid's 15th release and was her first venture into Vaporwave. And it is now considered to be the quintessential Vaporwave album. Adam Harper, who we've talked about already, has described this album's content as chopped, glitching, and screwed adult contemporary soul alongside twinkling spa promotional tunes. And in case you were wondering, its only physical release was, of course, on cassette tape with a limited edition series of 100 copies.
Wow. Damn.
Assessing the influence of Floral Shop on Vaporwave, assuming it to be the genre's apex, James Parker of Tiny Mixtapes wrote, "In many ways, Macintosh Plus embodied the Vaporwave genre best. Not only did it provide some of Vaporwave's most essential releases, but it also cannily folded at just the right moment, thanking us all for visiting the virtual casino. 2012 wasn't just the year that Vaporwave broke, it was also the year it exhausted itself, morphed, rebranded, its practitioners moved on. If
Wow.
any single release deserves to be remembered, though, it is surely Floral Shop. From the very beginning, it stood out not only for its artful marrying to the conceptual with the sensual, but also its performance of the inseparability between the two." Now this
Wow.
track, which I messed up before, Risa Franku 420 Gendai no Compyu, I've found two translations for it. Some think that it means Lisa Frank 420 / modern computing.
Yeah.
Some think it means computing of Lisa Frank 420 / contemporary. it's pretty much just a slowed down and slightly remixed version of Diana Ross's 1984 song "It's Your Move," which was then retitled with the new name and Japanese characters. I will post a link to the original song so you can hear how it's literally just a slowed down version of the song.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that Vectoid took this song, slowed it down, and rebranded it with a Japanese title, I don't know if that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard or the most genius thing I've ever heard. It's kind of punk rock, and it's kind of just fucking stupid at the same time.
Yeah. Yep.
What did you think of this?
I mean, you just said exactly. That's how I feel about almost all this. I can't tell if it's like genuinely creative and totally novel and fresh and transgressive, or if it's just really fucking dumb.
Exactly.
I can't tell. I genuinely, honestly, I'm not being sarcastic. I can't tell.
The fact that I can't tell is what keeps me so tethered to it. Like, I'm so interested because I can't decide what I think about it.
It's weird. I mean, because this song sounds very public access music vibe, like your low budget local radio station.
This could
songs
be
in between.
In like a Tim and Eric skit.
Exactly.
Almost,
I wrote that. I was like, Tim and Eric could have wrote this song. I mean, this could have been
jest.
Yeah, in completely just to like sound shitty. They could do this song, and so yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to make of it. This is where I kind of got the sense that Vaporwave is like a gentle remix, because tell me if you think this is a little simplistic. But I tried to think, what are the different ways you can appropriate a song, right? One is you just don't appropriate it, and you just listen to the song, and you like it or you don't. You make fun of it or you don't. You just enjoy the aesthetic of it. Or you do remix it to say something different, and you're doing something very different with it. But that's not this song either to me. This is like such a gentle remix that it's like at the point of just being ironic. Like, there's not, besides just slowing it down and chopping a little bit, there's not a lot, unless I'm missing it, there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot of labor that went into this.
Like, this song could have been made in like 10 minutes.
Theoretically, right?
Yeah.
So again, then we're kind of getting like Wink core a little bit. It's like, do you appreciate this song only when you realize information about it beforehand so that you can ironically get it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I feel so conflicted about the song, but the one thing that makes me think I actually like it is that main melody gets stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just be walking around, all of a sudden I hear like and it's not the Diana Ross version, it's the slowed down Macintosh Plus version. Like, there is something catchy about that slowed down melody.
Yeah.
Now, whether she intentionally was like, oh, this song would sound great slowed down, or if it was just like a happy accident, I don't know, but it does get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
I will say, the slowed down vocals reveal some of the flaws in the harmonies in the song.
Yeah. Oh, I was wondering that too. Or did she like twist?
I guess
them?
she might have twisted
I don't know.
it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell
either.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
But it's like there's some of the harmonizing happening in the song that's very off-putting when it's slowed down.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I thought like the last minute of the song could have been like the basis of a song that had like added layers on top of it. I thought the last minute that was like slowed down and kind of a little bit weirder, kind of darker. I thought that could have been, but again, maybe I'm just not getting it. Maybe I'm too.
You're too old.
My libido juices
too old, you don't get it.
Are too into the capitalist product. I don't, because I thought you could take the last minute of this song, and that's like 1/10 of what could be a really interesting song. But you add more stuff. You make it a song. But I don't know. But it's it is a genuine. I can say this. It's a genuinely unique sonic experience. Listening to this, I don't know if I liked it.
It's true.
I don't know if I liked
it. That's exactly how I feel.
But
it's exactly how I feel.
It is a genuinely unique experience. Yeah.
So I guess then after that, the next subgenre to emerge was.
Can we do a few shoe dips first?
Yeah. You guys can't hear it, but just know what's happening. Every time Dominic woofs.
I vape.
Yeah.
I'm vaping.
So the next subgenre is called hypnagogic drift, which is a more dreamlike genre, creating weird hypnagogic. I don't even know how to say that word. Hypnagogic. Have you heard this term before?
No.
So, hypnagogia or hypnagogia is the experience of the transitional state from wakefulness to sleep.
Okay.
So it is literally song that is trying to embody the feeling of that small amount of space between being awake and falling asleep. The next subgenre to appear, which I mentioned already, was mall soft, which takes this idea of mall music
Yeah.
and reverbs it and washes it out to create a lucid, dreamlike feel as though you're walking through a virtual plaza. Another very controversial subgenre, future funk. Some people argue this has nothing to do with vaporwave. Some people think it is part of vaporwave. It takes it heavily samples 80s pop and smooth jazz, but presents them in a much cleaner fashion. It has been often compared to like French house music.
Yeah, right.
Some people are also calling it Vaporwave. Similar to like how people don't like people who are into traditional dubstep don't like saying Skrillex is dubstep. They say he's bro step.
Yeah.
So this future funk is this kind of more abrasive, catchy stuff that the vaporwave people are trying to distance themselves from, calling it Vaporwave. And then from that we got vapor trap, which is simply put is vaporwave music with a trap beat on top of it. Which brings us to our fourth track, Teen Pregnancy by Banshee, off the 2012 album Blank Banshee Zero. Blank Banshee is a vapor trap artist. I think it's a guy. From what I gathered from the pictures I've seen of him, he performs in a mask. I believe it's a man. And also based off of where he plays most of his live shows, I believe he is Seattle, Washington based, but this is all speculation on my part. Pretty much he's anonymous as fuck. I don't know who he is. As we get further to the present time in vaporwave, the less I know about these artists because the anonymity is increased because it is now part of this shtick.
Yeah.
So this song heavily samples two songs, Sunshine Recorder by Boards of Canada. Boards of Canada being one of my favorite electronic groups of all time. And The Message by Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah,
which
okay,
is
I
the
thought that. Yep. Yeah.
Which, classic 1980s early hip hop music.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I could not figure out where the vocal sample came from.
Really? Yeah.
Throughout the song, the lines "I'm just a kid" and "it was just a little mistake" are repeated. I'm assuming in reference to the title Teen Pregnancy is about a teenager who gets pregnant. Every time I try to Google that phrase, the only thing that the search would lead me back to is this song.
Yeah.
So it is an unknown vocal sample. So, and there is a music video. Did you watch it?
I did. Yep.
It's pretty straightforward. An aqua-haired girl does some blotter acid, which, if you look at the blotter acid, has the cover of this album on it.
Whoa.
And me not being a connoisseur of acid,
what the hell's wrong with you? Come on.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. I'm just too busy vaping. From looking at the YouTube comments on it, everyone could not stop commenting on how large of the blotter acid was. They're like, dude, that's like 10 fucking hits of acid. So she must have been tripping goddamn balls.
Yeah.
So she takes this hit of acid and she basically walks around town listening to her iPod, and the song she's listening to is this song, Teen Pregnancy.
Yeah.
And there proceeds to be a bunch of glitchy video effects that are attempting to emulate her acid trip. And the music video ends abruptly with her iPod dying and her trying to like hit it and turn it back on. So what did you think of the song and the music video and all of that?
I mean, I can't say I hated it. I didn't hate this song. I feel like a cop-out. I'm just ambivalent. Like, I don't hate it. I can't hate it. Because there's not that much there to hate. You know what I mean? It kind of has, just the remixing and the sampling is so gently used that I have a hard time saying that it sounds bad, but I have a hard time identifying how the song is particularly creative. That's all. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's a cop-out. But I mean, I kept listening to it and I was like, I don't hate it. I kind of like the wave of electric keys. At the start, they get faster, and then the sample. And the lyrics are kind of pretentious and silly, and the video's a little pretentious and silly.
It was just a little mistake.
And I couldn't help but feel like this song was kind of like an artist. It felt like it was made by an artist who could be really good, but they're at an early stage where they're like that kid who does acid for the first time and just stares at their hand. I was whoa.
I will say, up there with Vectoid and Macintosh Plus, Banshee is considered to be one of like the cream of the crop vaporwave artists.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he invented Vapor Trap, but he definitely is considered like the foremost Vapor Trap artist in the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. It basically sounds like he slowed down a Boards of Canada song.
Yeah.
Took the catchiest part of the message and then put like a keyboard sounding hand clap beat over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, like you and I both have a huge appreciation for Steve Reich, right?
Correct.
You've listened to him more than me.
His clapping song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like, what does it even mean for a genre, this niche, to exist? Like, if Steve Reich, for instance, who I think has sampled probably every conceivable thing you can think of.
Not only that, but he might have given birth to sampling.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, he's not credited with like creating a ton of genres. He's credited as just being an amazing fucking artist. But like, if he had just stopped and done nothing but wood, then would he have given birth to a microgenre called wood music? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it makes you wonder.
Woodcore.
It's like, are they focusing too much on tiny little modular changes, and they just make that too much of the song, and then the little microgenres exist? I don't know.
That could be.
It to me, it depends on time. That's the big thing. Is, will these genres last? Can a genre that's literally called vapor trap last, or is it by definition you can only do a one-off?
I know a lot of people, like vaporwave purists, don't like to associate themselves with vapor trap. Like, a lot of people say that vapor trap wouldn't have ever become anything had not Blank Banshee tagged his album under vaporwave when releasing it. Simply by him trying to associate it with the vaporwave movement, it has now become a thing. It's weird. This album, it definitely, even whether it's good or bad, is significant in that it marks a turning point in the genre.
Yeah.
When whether or not I like this song or not, I'm not sure. But
yeah, I'm not either.
I think with this song specifically, it is starting to become actual music.
Yeah.
Not like this like weird vaporwave bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to hear like, oh, this is almost like an enjoyable electronic song.
Yeah.
And not just like a weird anti-capitalist statement.
Right.
Movement thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little more going on, but I don't know. I guess I'm used to like there's minimalism and then there's maximalism,
Yeah.
and like minimalist sampling or electronic would be like ambient. It's like it's just, and then the maximal would be like Animal Collective or 10 Tricks Point, Arca. There
Yeah.
and I can't figure out where this is.
It's
in that.
undefinable almost. Like you can't pinpoint
exactly, but it's somewhere in between.
It's like it's not quite liquid. It's just vapor floating around us. Oh,
Fuck, dude,
shit.
I vape my pants.
So I don't know what to say about this. It's not bad,
It's not bad. I can't say I dislike
but it's
the
kind of
song.
like empty.
Yeah. It's
like
vapor.
vaporware.
It is fucking vapor. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. The song announces itself, and upon announcement, it's as if it never arrives.
So I guess at this point, you might be starting to ask, like, what the hell is vaporwave? How
Yeah.
can it be all of these different things at the same time?
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of a huge controversial subject within the community. We have all of these different subgenres that are somehow underneath this blanket term of vaporwave, yet there's not really like one sonic, thematically coherent theme that runs.
Yeah.
I said thematically theme.
The
that
best kind of
runs
themes?
through all of them. And, a lot of people these days are starting to like see it as more of just a music genre, but more of like an artistic movement, similar to that
Yeah.
like steampunk, which has music, film, fashion, it has all these different venues that can go down.
Yeah.
Because you look at some of these subgenres of vaporwave and there's nothing tying them together, yet they're both supposedly still vaporwave.
Yeah.
And some people think that it's also just this genre that is going back to Skrillex, who I brought up. It's this genre that's about to explode on the scene. Dubstep existed for years.
Yeah.
And then Skrillex came along, and all of a sudden, everybody knew what dubstep was.
Yeah.
So it's like we're almost just waiting for some mainstream artist to like see this and like
T Swift.
they're seeing these kids appropriating it for themselves, and then it's just
Make
a
some
thing.
money. Yeah.
Whichever way it's moving, one thing I can know for sure is vaporwave is changing.
Yeah.
Some people say it's for the better, some for the worse. And the changing brings us to our last song, which is called Recovery by the group 2814 off the 2015 album Birth of a New Day. 2814 is a collaborative project between Telepath and Hong Kong Express, who are two contemporary major vaporwave artists. Hong Kong Express, whose first name is David, I believe, is actually the owner of the largest vaporwave label today called Dream Catalog.
Wow.
I believe he's Scottish, actually. He was on the Needle Drops podcast recently being interviewed about the state of vaporwave.
Wow.
So this album, Birth of a New Day, is being heralded as the future of vaporwave and what it is becoming. It's keeping vaporwave's aesthetic, but moving towards more complex melodies and original music rather than appropriation and sampling of 70s and 80s music. And it relies heavily on the use of drone and ambience rather than like traditional song form.
Mm-hmm.
In November of 2015, Rolling Stone added this album to their 10 artists' albums you need to know list of 2015.
Nice.
And Resident Advisors, which is a music review website, Andrew Rice had this to say about the album. The album from 2814, which comprises of Hong Kong Express and Telepath, lands closest to ambient and is among the most mature and considered albums on the Dream Catalog label. Originally released at the beginning of 2015, it has been reissued by Not Fun on cassette, essentially taking Birth of a New Day out of digital vaporwave streaming closer to earthly artists such as Robe Door and White Poppy. Despite the content, it still feels like most vaporwave albums. Alternatively brilliant and sloppy, emotionally resident at some moments, and hollow the next.
Yeah. Yeah, hey. Yeah.
Which I think
that's
really
what we were agreeing with.
totally
Yeah.
gets what we were saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think of this track?
I like this song a lot. If you had just played this for me, I would not have guessed it was part of it. I wouldn't have, I'll be honest, I would not have said I need some new genre, some new vocabulary to understand this song. I like this song. I thought it was really good ambient kind of music. And it had this big metropolis urban vibe. I've been to Hong Kong,
Yeah.
and it reminded me of going around Hong Kong at night. And you hear swirls of sounds and lights, and then dark alley. It's quiet, and taxis and people, all the different. I loved it. I love this song, but I don't think it's part of
Vaporwave.
a genre. I don't know. Then it gets down to what is a genre? Is a genre just? Now I'm gonna get real Marxist here, bro. Is a genre?
Buckle up, everybody.
All right. So first I vape my pants. Okay. But is a genre just something that people need to sublimate their libidinal juices, but they don't really need it? Why do you need a genre? Why do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What did you think? Did this song sound vaporwave to you?
So, interesting note. If you go on the Bandcamp page for this album and you go under the tags, they do not list vaporwave on it at all.
Really? And
I
the
don't
labels
know
of wow.
I don't know if they are like intentionally trying to distance themselves from the genre.
Yeah.
I don't know if they simply just see this album as like, I still like vaporwave, but this isn't vaporwave.
And the name of the album is Birth of a New Wave.
Birth of a New Day.
of a New Day.
Of a new day, yes.
Okay. But if you
But
might as well
still.
say way, yeah.
No, and it's interesting. Okay, so I guess going back to your first question, I fucking love this song.
Yeah,
this is
it's great,
fantastic.
dude. It's
if
a great
this,
song.
If this is what vaporwave is going to be,
Yeah.
I am on board.
Yeah.
And I am going to be first in line for every album that comes out because
Yeah.
this song was moody, atmospheric,
Yeah.
chilling,
Yeah.
but like chill at the same, like chilling and chill as two separate things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting how you, who has been someone that's been to Hong Kong,
Yeah.
said that you kind of felt like this sounds like what it's like to walk around there because
Yeah.
this album is actually a concept album about wandering Hong Kong
Well,
on a warm and rainy night,
Yeah.
just taking in like the pink neon light
Yeah.
and the trains and the traffic and the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And that this whole album is supposed to sound like that.
I'll have to check it out because it genuinely did remind me. It made me nostalgic for being
Yeah.
because Hong Kong, I would say more than like Tokyo. I haven't been to Tokyo, but I've heard people have been to both. Hong Kong is like more the quintessential big metropolis with tons of little subcultures and everyone's really nice.
Yeah.
And there's just noises and it's kind of got that like Blade Runner vibe. You've fucking seen Blade Runner.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing place. And I felt that, man. I mean, it was great atmospheric ambient music that had, I think you're right, it was chill and it was kind of chilling. It had range. It had emotional range. It was great.
Yeah, and I love, like, it made me like pine over something I've never experienced, like the beginning with just that like reverbed piano
and a real fucking piano.
Yeah.
Not shitty electric.
and then there's like
piano.
the
Yeah.
faintest, softest voice of like a female speaking in Chinese, like
Yep.
whispering in the background.
Yeah.
It just sends shivers up my spine.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like when that bass comes
Yeah,
in,
like 130. Yeah.
and it's
big,
like
the
and
drop.
it's
Yeah.
a very like formless bass.
Yeah.
It's not a defined bass. It's very abstract.
It's like a
it's weird way to
swirling
put it, but
sound.
it's not
Yeah.
a defined bass. It's like a hint of a bass, but it's
Yeah.
booming.
Yeah.
It-
It's fantastic.
It's just I love this song.
Yeah. Yeah, there aren't a lot of songs that conjure images, but this one, it was like movement and lights and being intoxicated. It was great.
If this is the direction that the vaporwave is moving, I want to ride that
Yeah.
wave.
Because it felt like there was intention, serious intention and thought and meaning put into the song
I agree.
that I didn't feel so much in the other songs. Other songs, I mean, what did Miles Davis say? There's only two things you ask about a good song. Was there an idea? And did you project? Were you loud? And this song had an idea. You know what I mean? And it went with it.
Sure.
And I could tell. The other songs, grab on anything. But this one had an idea.
I totally agree. So I feel like I can be safe to assume that both of our favorite tracks
Yeah, it was this.
Recovery by 2814.
But now we're getting into a real interesting question. That first song especially, right? Where
A1.
we liked the beginning. Was it the first? Yeah. No, it was the second one where we liked the beginning, we didn't like the second part.
Yes.
If the goal is to put you in an experience where you feel nostalgic and you remember consumerist things, and then you become alienated and frustrated from it, then song number 2, that achieves.
That achieves it.
But I don't like it.
And this last song does
I
not
liked
achieve.
it. You're right, I liked it. So that's the big.
So yeah, either this is redefining vaporwave, or it is simply using vaporwave as like a springboard into some yet to be named genre or movement of music.
It's the big question vaporwave people are going to have to answer is, are you supposed to enjoy the music?
That's a good point.
For real.
That's a good point.
Karl Marx, man, I don't think he liked music, but there's a whole lot of Marxists out there who would say this is all distraction. They're going to have to come to terms with that. The rest of us, we're just going to vape our
They're just trying to distract us from their capitalist overlord tones.
Exactly.
But opiate for the masses.
Wait, so what's the name of the artist for song number 5? I get it all.
2814.
Okay, it's 2814.
Album's name, Birth of a New Day.
Yeah.
Song, Recovery.
Okay.
And if you're Googling it, it's 2 space 8 space 1 space 4.
So you're not going to say 2814.
And they just posted on Facebook the other day that their next album is on the verge of coming out.
Damn.
So I guess that probably wraps everything up. Do you have any final thoughts on Vaporwave? Or
Aesthetic.
You can't say any better than myself. If you are interested in checking out more on Vaporwave, I highly recommend checking out the page for this episode on our website. I will be posting those mini documentaries I was talking about, as well as links to some of the full albums if you want to hear more, along with some humorous videos about the genre and maybe some funny meme pictures that I found about it. Also, if you want to hear more episodes like this, please send us genres. If you want to hear us talk about a song you like, please send us a track. If you make music yourself and you want us to talk about it, send us your music. You can send it to us at facebook.com/shuffle, at Shuffle Podcast on Twitter, shufflepodcast.tumblr.com for Tumblr. Email us, shufflecastpod@gmail.com. Or if you know how to get hold of me personally, feel free to send it to me yourself. Also, one last plug, please listen to the Game Cave podcast. It is a podcast where some friends of mine and I talk about video games. SoundCloud.com/The Game Cave Podcast.
Check it out.
Other than that, vape out, aesthetic hard, and
get your libidinal juices back. Because that shit is getting sucked in all.
Hashtag libidinal juices. All right. Thank you for listening, and we will see you later.
Bye-bye.